Today, we are heading to Michigan to update the race for president with less than 3 weeks to go. Early voting is already taking place in the state, and we'll come back to that. First, we will set this up with a look at how the election went in 2020, but an opening note. Michigan had 16 electoral votes in 2020, but it is now 15. It's still an important state with one of the bigger hauls of electoral votes of any state you will find. However, the 2020 census cut it down by 1. Back to the 2020 results. This was the second of the blue wall states to fall back to Biden in the 2020 election. The AP called it on Wednesday evening, about a day after the polls closed, but Wisconsin was first a few hours earlier. It ended up being close, but not razor close. Biden won the state by 154,188 votes, or we'll call it about 2.8 points. Hillary Clinton famously lost this state and the rest of the blue wall in 2016, but it was very important for Biden to get it back. Before we look at the map, I also wanted to point something out, which is of course susceptible to change, but there's an interesting historical trend. The last time all three of these blue wall states, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan, did not vote together was 1988. Wisconsin went for Dukakis, but Pennsylvania and Michigan went to Bush, who of course won. Then again, so did some other states which are definitely not going red in 2024, like Connecticut, Vermont, New Jersey, and Maryland. The point is that these three states have tended to vote together. On most occasions in modern times, they have. Now looking at the map, most of Michigan is red on paper, but a lot of them are smaller counties. Some of the ones in blue are the much more dense in terms of population. No counties flipped red in 2020, but 3 flipped blue, and 2 of them are very consequential. Kent, home to Grand Rapids, and Saginaw, home to a city of the same name. We will get back to those counties, but an analysis of the election in Michigan can't start without looking at Wayne, home to Detroit and the largest county in the state. Biden netted over 332,000 votes there in 2020, in large part because he ran up the score in Detroit. Kamala Harris will need to hold together the African American vote in Wayne County, which very much helped Biden go over the top, but the Muslim vote in Wayne is also critical. During primary season, there was a push to vote uncommitted on the Democratic side, with some in the Arab American community using Biden's stance on the Israel-Gaza conflict as rationale. Disengagement of this voting bloc would hurt Harris in November, and there has been some tepidness from the Muslim community and elements of the anti-war left. In a state where thousands of votes can make a difference, this bears watching. There wasn't a huge gap in between Clinton's 2016 margin there and Biden's 2020 margin, so use 37 or 38 points as your Wayne baseline for Harris. Oakland County is going to be hugely telling as to the final result. This is a suburban Detroit county that contains Troy and Pontiac. Biden got about 56% here in 2020, whereas in losing the state, Hillary Clinton only got about 51%. One would think Harris needs to be getting at least 54 or 55% in this county to be in respectable shape, with her obvious goal being to hit Biden's number or higher. Wayne and Oakland together make up almost 30% of the state's electorate. Other counties to watch include the 2 swing counties we noted earlier, Kent and Saginaw. Kent is the 4th largest county in the state, while Saginaw County is in one of Michigan's largest metropolitan areas. Trump won Kent by 3 and Saginaw by 1 in 2016, but Biden won Kent by 6 and Saginaw by less than a point. Saginaw is a potential bellwether, as it has voted with the state's winner since 1992, and only once since 1972 has it not done so. If you want to see how the youth vote is doing, check out Washtenaw and Ingham counties. Washtenaw is home to Ann Arbor, the University of Michigan, and the Big House. Ingham is where you'll find Michigan State. In 2020, precincts in Ann Arbor near the college were voting 80 to 90% for Biden, not too far off of what East Lansing did. In the 2022 midterms, post-Dobbs Gen Z voters voted heavily Democratic according to the CNN exit poll, but did not make up a huge share of the vote. If the Harris campaign successfully connected with these voters, you will see evidence in those 2 counties. They are going blue anyway, but the story will be at the precinct level in those college towns. Let's also highlight Macomb County, Michigan's 3rd largest, which sits northeast of Detroit. Macomb has a bipartisan history, though Donald Trump won it in 2016 and 2020. He beat Clinton there by over 11 points, but Biden by 8. Meanwhile, Obama carried it twice. Trump won Macomb in 2016 by the largest GOP margin since 1988, with with Bush 41 getting 60%. Trump hopes to win it a third time, but a swing of even a point or two Democratic could mean thousands of votes. Macomb is redder than it used to be, and how red it is in November will say a lot about who wins this state. The polls are all over the place, and there are a ton of them. It's close. Suffice it to say, it's close. Let's put that to the side for a minute, because I could pull 10 recent polls, and all the results are a little different, perhaps with 5 showing one candidate in front and the other 5 doing the opposite. In general, when it comes to polls, take them for what they are and don't regard them as the gospel truth in every case, especially when you have a bunch of polls and none are exactly alike. There may be elements of truth and valuable information within those surveys, but if one poll says Trump is up in Michigan 50-47 and another says Kamala Harris is up 51-46, you'll go nuts hanging on every one and wondering, did this demographic shift? What about that demo? Etc. Just take them for what they are. What I think might be more valuable is the early vote, which are votes already in the bank. Unfortunately, in Michigan, unlike a state like Pennsylvania, it does not reveal the partisan breakdown of those requesting and submitting early or absentee ballots. They do, however, provide limited demographic breakdowns, which can tell you different things, but certainly nothing along the lines of whom they voted for up and down the ballot. These numbers change every day, so be sure to check the Michigan Secretary of State, as well as various websites that track the early vote, like the University of Florida Election Lab and Target Early. We recorded this on October 18th, so info is current as of that date. According to the Election Lab data, the Michigan electorate so far, which is 944,681 people, is skewing older, which might be a demographic that favors Trump, though keep in mind Michigan doesn't break out early votes in person versus mail votes. But it also appears that this group in Michigan so far is skewing female, about 56%, which is potentially favorable to Harris. Based on those two data points, not really enough to read into things. If you believe in general that early voting favors the Democrats, you're probably pleased, but the GOP has also made a push to get people to vote early, so we don't know who these voters are, truly. I'm not going to tell you what to think about this because I don't think you can draw any conclusions from this limited amount of data, but you're free to draw whatever conclusions you want. Just understand that you'll never know if you're right, and check back on November 5th to see what it actually means. If there were more, I would still advise caution because you can't see how those ballots were marked anyway. All you would have is inference. One final note on the early vote. Statistics are showing that a lot of the red counties seem to have a higher early ballot return rate so far. That's potentially nice for the GOP and all that, but keep some sense of proportion. A slightly smaller percentage of early vote in Wayne County is still going to dwarf a rural red county with 10,000 voters. And I promise you, a lot of those Wayne voters are blue. Still too soon to know what's happening. Updated final predictions will come within the next 2 weeks on the website at electionyard.com. So around the beginning of November, make sure you're there because we pledge to pick every race in every state. We won't be hedging bets around here. ElectionYard.com and check us out on social media.